I did put something about sharing my kind of journey with autism, um, as my son is undergoing an assessment for having autism. Hi, Fizbit. So he's currently on the waiting list with the NHS to be having an assessment for autism. So I just wanted to give kind of like the first few signs that I noticed, um, that I noticed about him that made me think, he might be autistic. So I kind of think like, obviously he was just a normal baby in the beginning, but I think where I started to kind of notice initially that he's a bit different is like, when I was trying to like entertain him or like, smile at him, he would smile generally, but sometimes he would have like a blank stare, like he would just, thank you. He would like have this kind of like blank stare, like he would just look at me like he's not really like there. He's almost like staring so deep into my eyes that I'm even like, okay, what's wrong with this baby? Like that look is a bit serious. So that's kind of like the first sign. I thought, okay, this baby's a bit serious. And then the second one was kind of like the name. It got to a certain age where I was like, okay, he's not actually responding to his name. Like I'll call him and he will literally like, it would be like nobody's in the room. He will not even like, it would be like, can he hear me? Like, does he know his name sort of thing? So that was another thing that I thought, okay, at this age, he should actually know his name. Um, that's no problem. And then it got to a point where it was kind of weird because he started eating with a spoon, like food. And then it got to a point where he wasn't eating with the spoon anymore. He would like disregard the spoon and start eating like with his hands. So I was just like, this is a bit animalistic. Why are you like dropping the spoon and just choosing to like eat rice with his hands? And he would just like, sometimes eat yogurts with his hands and stuff. So I'd be like, okay. So there was that as well. Another thing was that he'd never really had a fear of danger. So it'd be like when I take him out of the car, he would take off. He would take off. Like, so it literally, I used to have to like kind of time, I say used to, but I still kind of have to like kind of time when I'm getting him out of the car. I have to hold him like by the hand or the hood or the like back or like just so he doesn't run away because he's so quick as well. He's super, super, super quick. Very, very athletic. So literally, like even when I open the front door to my house, he will take off. So anywhere I am, I have to be like so vigilant. I have to time everything so that he doesn't like run into the road or run away, that kind of thing. So there's that kind of like no danger sort of thing. One thing that I'm noticing now that he's getting older is that he's jumping, like he always climbed. I mean, my daughter used to climb on stuff as well, like, climbing on the, what do you call it, cabinets or whatever. But now he's doing a lot more jumping. He's jumping off of stuff now. um I think that was a program before, wasn't it? Called Jump Off or something like that. But yeah, he will literally like go onto the sofa and like jump, jump on my dryer and like jump off the dryer and stuff like that. So that kind of thing. Another thing while I was outside that I noticed, as soon as he got outside, he's 3 at the moment. So I started noticing his behaviors probably about 1, because I remember going to the doctor about 18 months to kind of complain like, okay, he hasn't spoken. And my daughter as well was kind of a late talker. She only really started talking around like 2.5, really. That was when she really started. She could say certain words though. She could say like, mummy or milk or, stuff like that. But she didn't really have a full vocabulary. She couldn't really, speak until about 2.5. So I wasn't that worried about him, but then at the same time I was. So I took him to the doctor at about 18 months and I said, this boy isn't talking. Um, can I ask, what if it was just slow development and not autism? It could be, like, that's why we're kind of on the waiting list at the moment, because we don't actually know. Does he plug his ears? He doesn't plug his ears, but he kind of would sometimes hold his ear, like when he gets upset and like when he's crying, he would kind of like hold on to his ear, but not plugging. There was none of like that kind of stuff. And I didn't notice that he was kind of like, oversensitive to loud noises or anything like that. No, I didn't notice any of that, but he definitely did hold on to his ear, which other family members actually noticed as well, that he's holding his ear a lot. But now that he's 3, he's kind of not, he doesn't really do that anymore and hold his ear. um but yeah, it could be just slow development. My son is 3 and we're going through the same process. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Yeah, because I think it takes them a while, because it could just be slow development, because obviously all children develop at different stages. So it's kind of hard for them to kind of say at the moment, because they could just get older and just, start talking and start doing all the rest of it. So it could just be slow development, just a speech delay. But the fact, I think how, we're kind of crossing the lines of slow development and autism is that it's not just the speech. A speech delay is just literally that the child can't talk. But if there's other sort of things like social communication, that kind of stuff, they don't really like being around people, they don't really play with people, they don't really have an interest in other people, that kind of stuff. That kind of points more towards autism, because they kind of, social communication issues, not just the development. So he is improving at the moment, because at first, as I said in the beginning, he would not even respond to his name. I would be calling him like Justice, Justice, like literally like this far apart from him. And he would not like just even, he would not even like look at me. But now, like when you call him, he will look. Like even if you're like on the other side of the room and you say justice, he will actually look. Like even not just me, who's a familiar adult, but like a stranger or somebody that he doesn't know. If somebody says his name, he definitely knows his name right now. I was encouraged to do hearing tests for him, which he did have a hearing test when he was a baby. So I kind of knew it's not hearing, but sometimes they do get it wrong. So I did go ahead and do another hearing test, but again, that came out quite unclear, because he was just like, what are you doing to my ears, like get this thing out of my ears, like that kind of stuff. But they kind of had this assessment where they kind of play this weird noise and the child has to look, that kind of stuff, and he could hear the sounds. So yeah, it could be slow development. Just maybe he's just got to kind of learn those social skills, that kind of thing. Because yeah, as we said, like he is kind of improving now. He's looking a lot more when you call his name, he's having a lot more eye contact, that kind of thing. Another thing I noticed when as he's getting older, he's like, I'm able to walk with him now. A little bit, because before, like no matter how big he is, like I would still put him in that pushchair because it's safer. Just strap him in, clip him in, and he's not going anywhere. That's the safer option for me. But nowadays, I'm actually able to walk with him. Like he'll actually like be receptive to me taking his hand, for example, and actually walking with him. Before, like walking my child to school would be like, no, we are not walking anywhere. I'm not walking with this child because I don't want to regret it. There's times that I've gone into a shop and thought, oh yeah, he can handle it, and he cannot handle it. We'll have meltdowns at the self-checkout area, children on the floor, you know, different snacks open, like I'm having to buy all of them. So yeah, it was just a no before, but now I'm actually able to like, actually walk with him, because he'll actually like take my hand and like actually hold it, sort of thing. So that's and definitely an improvement. Another thing that I noticed is, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but like when he would go outside, obviously he's just like fascinated by outside. um how do I cope with these signs? I'm very observational. Like that's the thing about me. I'm very, very observational. I always like just watch children and their development and stuff like that. So I just find it just like kind of almost like fascinating to kind of watch him grow. So it's just interesting to watch. I kind of look at the stuff that he does. Yeah, it is a big victory. Like one thing that I noticed that was very strange was when we did go outside, he would touch the ground, he would actually touch the floor outside. And I would think, okay, that's different. Why is he touching the floor? But it's almost like, I kind of researched it later on, and it was like a grounding kind of grounding thing that like autistic children do. That's why I was sidestepping on the autism, because that it's kind of a sensory thing. Like, okay, I'm in a new environment now, let me ground myself in this new environment by touching the ground here, um sort of thing. um exactly how I was as a child. Oh, are you autistic? Grounding, the biggest challenge I've had so far. Oh my goodness, like the challenges do not end. The challenges do not end. It's really, really difficult because like it's like I think the biggest challenge for me is the cleaning. I will say that is not um that is not a secret in my inner circle. Okay. He could just be screaming for freedom. Yeah, it's true. That's true. But he is on the waiting list, so we can actually know whether it's autism or just literally just kind of a delay in his development. Asperger's, to be precise. So that's interesting. That's really, really interesting. I was actually in a clubhouse room yesterday with like a few like autistic adults, like sort of explaining their experiences and stuff like that. So if you're not on Clubhouse, definitely get on there, because there's lots of like autistic and Asperger's people on there. I practice grounding as well, but on my hardwood. Yeah, justice. Like another thing about him that I did notice is something called, I think it's called PCAS or something like that, PCAS. And it's when like children eat things that they're not supposed to be eating. So Justice would actually like just go into the grass, like in the field, and he would just like grab a chunk of grass and he would eat it. He eats grass. Yes, he will go into the garden and he will eat grass. So stuff like that is obviously very alarming, because obviously, we're not supposed to be eating grass, basically. So yeah, he just needs like constant supervision. There's no like kind of like, okay, let me just, leave him outside and read a book, or, leave him in a room and read a book, or, kind of thing. He needs like constant supervision, because he could literally just do anything. Just the harm to himself, to be honest. So yeah, that's kind of a huge challenge, just always having to be around him, always having to do constant supervision. um yeah, that's a big challenge. But also like the cleaning kind of thing, again with the constant supervision, I cannot just leave a pot of rice on the stove. Like, it cannot happen, because while I'm out there doing something else, or this has happened like in the middle of the night, like Justice has actually made his way to the kitchen in the middle of the night and just he took the pot of rice, right, from the stove, took it to the corridor. And he's actually done this on a few occasions, actually. Another time, he actually brought the rice to my room, sat down on my bed, and actually started eating the rice. Like, and he is, as I said, he does not use a spoon, messy eater. He will just grab a chunk of rice and start eating it like with his hands. So there's like rice everywhere, rice in my bed, rice in the corridor, rice like everywhere. So I literally have to like hide food. I can't leave food outside, because he will literally just eat. He will take food to his room. He will just roam around the house and just be eating all the time. So how long is the waiting list? So on the NHS, the waiting lists are usually extremely long. So at the moment, like when he first got referred to have an autism assessment, she told me it was 18 months. In the past, it's been as short as 6 months to be seen and to be assessed, but it obviously because of COVID and stuff like that, I was told that it would be about 18 months before he was actually assessed. I did a assessment over the phone with a pediatric, who obviously he was referred to a pediatric to have the autism assessment by his speech and language therapist, um, which he gets on the NHS. But they're only like once a month, to be honest. So it's better to just do like private sessions with speech and language therapists. But obviously, because of COVID, a lot of speech and language therapists are not actually working and willing to go to people's homes and things like that, and probably don't want people in their home, coughing on their children and stuff. But so back to yeah, the kind of signs that I noticed about Justice. He didn't really initially, he was very quiet as a baby. I just thought, okay, it's a definitely a difference from my daughter, who's just very loud and in your face, like, hey, sort of thing. But he was very, very quiet, very observed. So I just thought he's a very reserved guy, sort of thing. He didn't help with like putting on his clothes and stuff as well. He would just be like, you're gonna dress me today, sort of thing. And he wouldn't like put his arms in the top kind of thing. He wouldn't put his foot in the shoe, sort of thing. So it's just like, help me out, baby. Come on now. Help me, then when he got a bit older as well, one thing I started noticing is he did like wheels, and I know that is very, very common in autistic children to like wheels. He would literally like turn the car, like they got these little toy push along cars, and he would turn it the other way around and literally just be like spinning the wheel round and round and round. Like he would do that. So that was another sign that I noticed about him. There was a time that he would pick up things in pairs. So he would pick up like bowls, like cereal bowls, and like in two. He would be very particular and he'd pick up two of them. There's times that he would even want to go out with these bowls, he would take them to the car and stuff like that, or he would pick up like two cups at the same time and like just be roaming around the house like with these two cups or these two bowls or whatever. He doesn't really do that anymore. So I'm literally like learning on the job. Like, as I said, I'm very, very observational. I just look at everything that he does and just take it all in. As I said before, just putting in lots of stuff in his mouth, sort of thing. I'm told that's like a sensory thing. Just trying to like see how things are, how things operate, stuff like that, by actually like tasting them or putting them close to his mouth. Sometimes he doesn't actually taste stuff, but he will like want to put it like close to his mouth. He's 3 years old at the moment, and still non-verbal. Like he hasn't do you have anyone in your family that has autism? I don't have anyone in my family that has autism, but I do believe that his paternal uncle does have, I don't know if it's autism, but definitely some kind of developmental learning delay, on his father's side. His father's brother has some kind of learning disability, but I don't know if it is diagnosed as autism. So I don't know what exactly it is, but I know that he does have some kind of learning disability. So, you know, it can be genetic, autism and stuff like that. But obviously, we're just on the waiting list at the moment to see if it is confirmed to be autism or whether it's just a developmental delay. Because at the moment, like as a result of seeing that pediatrician or speaking to that pediatrician I spoke to over the phone, who did the whole assessment over the phone, she said that he's probably operating at between 0 and 22 months at the moment, as a 3-year-old. So he is quite behind, like with his development, as he should be doing a lot more things. But one thing that I noticed that he has improved on, even though his communication is not verbal at the moment, he doesn't point either. He cannot like point and say, you know, "Oh, I want that," or "I want that," or, you know, "this person over there," whatever. He doesn't point. He will rather take you to what he wants. So he will literally take you by the hand and like say, "Let's go to the cupboard. I want a snack," sort of thing. Or "Let's go out," you know. So he'll grab me and he put my hand on the door, like, "Let's go out," sort of thing. So that's how I know like what he wants. He does go to nursery, but I was probably the proactive one before he even started nursery. I was the proactive one. I was the one telling the nursery, like, "You need to check this out. You need to check his behavior. You know, I believe he's got autism or, you know, some kind of like developmental delay. Can you keep an eye on this? Can you keep an eye on that? Can we do an EHCP plan?" That kind of stuff. So I kind of gave them the heads up first before they started noticing things. But because I did that and gave them the heads up, they were looking out for stuff, which wasn't that hard to see with his behavior. Because, you know, all he does at nursery is just run around and play with water. That's all he does. There's no, you know, "Let's sit on the carpet and listen to a story." There's none of that. Like, he wants to be outside, he wants to be running up and down hills, he wants to be, you know, in the grass, in the water, in the mud. You know, that's his kind of play. He's just, it's always going to be outside play with him. um which is kind of a danger because, you know, as I said, when as soon as you open a car door, or as soon as you open the window, or as soon as you, like, you know, take him out of the house, he will take off. That's why I have like a rule of just not opening the windows in my house. Well, not like, you know, well, we get fresh air. We do get fresh air, but I open it, like, you know, it's got like a safety lock anyway, so I never like fully open it to, like, you know, capacity, because, you know, I just don't want to be forgetful or anything like that. Leave it open because he will try to explore out of that window. You know, I've been to like family friends houses, and, you know, he's literally been trying to like escape from the front doors, try and, you know, escape from the window and that kind of stuff. So I'm always like, you know, "Oh, you know, what's he gonna do?" Just always trying to escape from places. Like, he's always trying to find the nearest exit, the nearest door, the nearest window, that kind of thing. So that's another thing that I noticed. So yeah, how has it been for you during this time? Like lockdown? Lockdown has been very, very, very difficult. He sounds just like my son. Oh, how old is your son, Maria? Um, Seems quite common. I've heard like autism is quite popular in boys as well. So yeah, that's quite funny because somebody else said that their son is displaying similar behaviors as well. So during lockdown, three as well. Oh my goodness. What a coincidence, you know. And I think her son was three as well. So that's crazy. I think it was the Fizbit, right? Um, yeah. So what was my yeah, lockdown has been really, really tough because obviously like he needs to be outside all the time. Like, that's just what makes him happy. That's when he's at his best. That's when he's like thriving. That's when he's happy, that sort of thing. So I even if I don't want to, I have to be outside. I have to go to the park. Like, I have to make a point and like take him to the park every day, because if he's at home, he'll just get irritated and start like crying on the floor and stuff like that. But if he goes out, he's like so happy. He'll be running up and down, he'll be laughing to himself, just enjoying, you know, the weather, whether hot or cold. You know, he doesn't mind. He just wants to be outside, full stop. So, you know, just kind of keeping him stimulated, you know. And I think outdoors is very, very stimulating for him. So yeah, I have to go out no matter what, like every day. Like, I cannot just stay indoors. Have you had speech therapy in place? Yeah, he does have speech therapy, but I'm not finding that it's, I don't know if it's his particular speech therapist. So, but I'm not finding it very, very useful at the moment. Obviously, it is a long process. Your child's not gonna just walk in there and just, start saying some words after the first 3 sessions. Like, it does take some time. And obviously just being a bit more intensive, so having a few a week kind of thing, a few a month, that kind of thing, is much better than what the NHS is offering, like once a month. That's not going to help at all. um not so much during lockdown, but the waiting list for his diagnosis and dealing with his needs and managing your own needs at the same time. Um, on I feel better about being on the waiting list to have his diagnosis, because I feel like at least like something is happening. We're being proactive. We're going to the next level. We're finding out what's one we're finding out what the difficulties are, and how we can help him, how we can help him progress, help his development, that kind of thing. Because I'm not an expert, I haven't studied, autism to that degree. So I can't really, help that much, sort of thing. So if there's like more tools and stuff like that that I can learn, then that's good. If there's actually like additional help that he can get, whether that be going to a special school or some kind of, community group, or some kind of like activity group that would stimulate him, then that's very beneficial. One thing that I did notice that was beneficial for him as well was getting him started doing private swimming lessons, because obviously he's not going to like actually cooperate in a group. So he has to have one-on-one swimming lessons, and I found that that was very beneficial for him. He was actually quite engaged, obviously extremely scared initially, but he started to like warm up to the water, and yeah, seemed to be really enjoying it. I think it was very calming for him, so that was very, very beneficial. But I mean, managing my needs, oh, like that's like out of the window. Like that's like out of the window for me, like, because as I said, like he needs like constant supervision, that kind of stuff. Always planning ahead, that sort of thing, always having to like be outside and spend time with him and stuff like that. So I don't really get to like have a lot of me time, because he is very, very, very demanding. He's not the one to like, just give him an iPad and like, sit in the corner and, watch some Teletubbies or something. Like he's not interested in phones, he's not interested in tablets, he's not interested in all of that. So he's very, very practical. He's very, very physical. So he has to go outside, run around, he's got to be playing, he's got to be doing something, taking rice to the bedroom, that kind of thing. He's got to be very active. NHS is absolutely useless when it comes to speech and language therapy. Only had 3 sessions online. Yeah, that's not like for justice. Like, as I'm just saying, like he's not interested in tablets. He's not interested in phones. He's not interested in that kind of thing. Like, he wouldn't even hold your tablet and try and watch the program that you give to him. He's not interested. So trying to get him to engage with a speech and language therapist online, it's just no. He's not going to sit down and listen to a speech and language therapist, full stop. He's not. So I can imagine. But like, our speech and language therapy has been face to face. One thing I will say though is he was very, very he wasn't very cooperative with the speech and language therapist initially. He just wasn't interested. He was just there for the snacks, because she had one she had one exercise that she got him to do, where he has to like ask for the snack or something like that, but she always put that at the end of the session. And it's like, he was literally like, woman, I am here for the snacks. I know you've got some snacks behind there. I don't care what you're doing with all these maracas and balloons, and get that out of the way. I want the snack. Okay, I'm here for the snacks. So he would get so upset, like, I saw the snack, like, stop playing me, like, where's the snacks, sort of thing. So he would get like really angry and start to like not listen to her and trying to like get behind her and try and find the snack, because he's obviously seen me bring the snack in and give it to her, but she's hidden it somewhere for the end of the session. But he's like, I'm here for the snack, woman. Forget about all of that. Where's the snack? So he wouldn't be very receptive to that. So we kind of stopped that snack exercise, because it's just not working. Like, no. So what she's kind of done now is more like sort of like free play, like just setting out toys for him and seeing what he wants to play with and stuff like that. But one thing about him is like if he doesn't like get what he wants, he gets very, very upset. Like, we're going now. He'll literally take my hand and be like, let's go, like put my hand on the door, let's go. I'm leaving this speech and language therapy. Thank you very much, sort of thing. So yeah, if he doesn't get what he wants, he gets very, very angry, can start just screaming, shouting, that kind of thing. Waiting lists for children are shorter because they see it as a sort of emergency. But for me, in the end, I had to go private. They told me to wait 3 years. 3 years? Oh my goodness, that is crazy. That is actually insane. 3 years. Oh my goodness, I cannot imagine that. And I think that's because they think that early intervention for children is better. So I mean, that's crazy because even I'm thinking like, oh my God, 18 months, that's like forever. But like, I can't imagine like waiting 3 years, that's quite ridiculous, to be honest. Yeah, I would go private as well because that's insane. I have thought of going private with justice as well, to see if they had any kind of change. But one thing I was concerned about is if obviously he gets diagnosed in a private setting, would he have access to like the other kind of communities or centers, or that the NHS children would be entitled to? So I don't really know the answer to that at the moment, but still a bit of research to do. Have you heard of neem check protocol? I haven't heard of that. I heard it really helps with gut health, which apparently helps autism traits. I have tried to put him on a gluten-free diet actually, and let me say I didn't do it for that long, but I did do it for a while and I started to notice like a difference in his behavior. I felt like he was a little bit calmer, but then I just don't know if it was just his age, like he's just getting a bit older, so maybe he's becoming more cooperative, or whether like it's genuinely the gluten-free sort of thing. But I am interested in doing like an entire gut check for him. So if there is anything that he shouldn't be eating, like, gluten, or like, anything like, I don't know, dairy or whatever kind of triggers there are for him, like if whatever the test says is not good for him, then I can eliminate that. um Neem check protocol, feedback is crazy. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Neem check protocol, um to see if there's any kind of like gut health issues. Yeah, it's crazy that something that you're eating can actually like exacerbate the autism. So it'd be really, really interesting to find that out actually. Yeah, definitely gonna look that up because, as I said, I have tried the gluten-free diet, and yeah, I felt like it did make a difference, but it's just being like consistent with it. I mean, in this day and age, it's not that difficult to like do the whole gluten-free thing because, like, there's always gluten-free options, and there's just so much out there for like vegan options and gluten-free options and stuff like that. But Justice eats a lot. He eats a lot. He eats a lot, and I find like with the gluten-free options of stuff, they tend to put less of it. Like he'll like he loves these like Mr. Kipling angel cakes, and in the normal ones I think you get about 6 of them, but in the gluten-free option they always put like 4, or like if you get 6 waffles in like another brand, the gluten-free option will have like 3 or something like that. So it's a bit like annoying that they charge more for those items, but then they put less in there as well. So you're getting hit twice with it. Do you feel like the nursery has been helpful in his journey? I actually spoke to his nursery today, the Senko coordinator in his nursery today, who she's been really, really nice. She's been really, really supportive actually through the whole thing. As I said, I went to the nursery first and said, you need to watch out for Justice. I've noticed this, this, and this. And, I think that he might have some additional needs. So I think that she has been very supportive. And she just told me today that she was filling out the application for an EHCP for him. So that was progressive, because initially when I went to the nursery, I was like, put him on an EHCP, straight away. And they were like, we don't even know him yet. Calm down, parent. So I think now that he's been with them for about almost a year, I think obviously they've noticed some additional needs that he has as well. So now that they've kind of got enough information to say, okay, now that we know him and we've seen, he might have some additional needs, now we're going to go for the EHCP. Yeah, so I don't remember the Netflix program, but their daughter was nonverbal and they gave her a vegan diet. And within a month, she said her first word. Oh my goodness. That's like giving me so much like, oh my goodness, he's going to be vegan tomorrow. I'm actually not kidding. Yeah, like it's crazy, like the amount of stuff we put into our bodies and stuff. Like even my daughter like suffers from eczema, and the amount of stuff that I've kind of read that is like kind of points to like what they're eating and stuff like that could be actually causing the eczema, because apparently eczema, like I've bought every cream like on the earth, like every cream for her, every body wash, all of it. I've tried them all, Lavino, this, that, and the Ololatum, Cetraben, all of them, and nothing works. And that's because 9 times out of 10, when you're working with like eczema, it's from the inside out. So what they're eating like is affecting the gut, and it kind of goes like, it has the reaction on the skin, because the skin is the largest organ in the body. So that's why they kind of can have breakouts in eczema. So what I have found helpful for her is using black seed oil on the skin, and additional to that, probiotics for kids. That's quite useful as well. So yeah, I do kind of think that I should try the vegan diet with Justice. I mean, it's not that difficult for me. I know a lot of people find like it really difficult to like be vegan, but like we literally eat fruit and veg all the time anyway. Like I hardly cook like chicken and meat anymore anyway. It's just fish really. Because especially with like autism as well, just kids in general, they always kind of push the omega 3 kind of thing. So I'm like, we're having sardines with everything, the sardines with the pasta, the sardines with the spaghetti, the sardines with the sardines sandwiches. You guys are eating sardines, just because of like omega 3 and like, that kind of thing. Is Justice your youngest? Would you have more kids? I think I've been really pro of having more. Justice is my youngest, and I don't think that I would have more children. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's very draining. That is very, very draining. So yeah, I don't think that I would have more children. Maybe because, of his challenges, but maybe because I have 2 children as well. One's a boy, one's a girl. So I mean, what else am I looking for, right? And I can't exactly say my daughter is like the easiest child to deal with either. So it's kind of like they both got their own kind of like sets of needs and stuff like that. So it has been extremely demanding for me. So I just do not think that I would be having more children, because I just feel like, wow, like I'm so depleted as it is with like, you know, Tally, she's very hyperactive. And then Justice is like, obviously got his additional needs, like needs constant like care, like, developmental delays, that kind of stuff, having to take him to all these like extra appointments as well. Yeah, it's too, I just feel like it's too taxing, to be honest, like to even think of having more. Both my children had that, and I took out the diary and their skin is so much better. Yeah, 100%. It's all about what we're eating, to be honest. 100%. So yeah, I haven't. Let me say I've attempted potty training. I have attempted it, but again, oh, thanks, Natalie. We can only try our best. I've attempted potty training, just when he was starting to get up to about 2. Then I tried to do potty training. I bought a whole set of pants for him, some boxers, that kind of thing. And, literally just went, in for the deep end, you're wearing pants today, sort of thing. Yeah. So I did that for a while, but he's got no kind of like oh, I'm wet sort of situation. Let's take these off. No, he's not. No, no, he will do everything in there. Everything, everything. He'll do everything in there. So it hasn't really worked, but oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just approaching it like it is. I mean, sometimes I won't lie to you. Sometimes it feels like, oh my God, what is this? It's so difficult. Like, it's so like draining at times, but then, it's just interesting to watch as well, just his entire journey. Because sometimes I'm just like, oh my goodness, how's he going to be when he's 7? How's he going to be when he's 10? How's he going to be when he's 18, sort of thing. So I'm just kind of watching and just, as I said, learning on the job, sort of thing. So yeah, back to the potty training. So yeah, I just went in the deep end, put the pants on him, that sort of thing. But yeah, he didn't really notice like anything was wet or anything like that, but I guess it's just being like consistent with it. He's not really interested in sitting down on the potty or anything like that. But again, just being consistent and not giving up, because I remember even with my daughter, who literally kind of independent at about 2.5, I think. She was like fully potty trained, so even her, initially she wasn't interested in sitting on the potty or anything like that. Like, we would literally be fighting. I would be holding her knees down, like, sit down. And it's the same thing with Justice, to be honest. I think it's like all children that you're gonna get that kind of thing. But yeah, with Justice, obviously he gets very, very upset. So, he's very strong as well, very, very strong, so he can fight me. um you know yeah, yeah, yeah. I always think that. I always think, how's he gonna be. But yeah, it's just about being really consistent with it. One thing that he was doing, which is probably the reason why I stopped the potty training, was, oh God, oh no, oh no. Well, when you have experiences like this, and this is exactly what I'm just about to bring up, by the way, right? I think what sort of deterred me from continuing the potty training was that Justice started, what do they call it? Smearing. Yes. He actually used to basically like put, like, if it'd be like, nap time or bedtime or whatever, and he's been left alone, he will literally like go into his Pampers, and literally take the contents out of the nappy. My daughter did this once before, actually, when she was a baby. So it wasn't so, but then she was a lot younger as well. Justice obviously is 3 now, and he will basically like start smearing, going into the nappy, taking the contents out, and literally just like squeezing on it. You know, yeah, it's a sensory thing. Your walls are white. My carpet is cream. I've got cream carpets. Yeah, the best thing to do is wooden floors, baby. Wooden floors, antibacterial. So yeah, he'd be smearing. I've had to clean stuff up from my cream carpets, I've got different sizes of carpet cleaners. I've like got, all I've tried all the brands, okay? But I find Dr. Beckerman's, if you need to be signposted to a carpet cleaner, Dr. Beckerman's, that's a good one. And I think I can't remember the other one, but that one's really good as well. But yeah, mattresses, walls, bed sheets, like everything like has been smeared. Everything has been smeared. Before, I remember one morning I literally woke up and from my room I could smell something. So I was like, I thought my daughter was up, like, clanging things in the kitchen, but no, it was actually Justice. It wasn't until Justice actually appeared in my doorway. It wasn't until Justice actually appeared in my doorway and I saw that he had no nappy on. I literally jumped out of my bed and I think he got scared or something, so he tried to like come into my bed, like, and his hands was like filled with Yeah, we had a lot of cleaning to do. Yeah, you know, sorry, someone keeps calling me. You know, I'm living your life. Yes, Dr. Beckerman, you know about Dr. Beckerman, like, lifesaver with a little scrubbing thing. Yeah, that really works. But even without autism, we've had to clean that up too during potty training. I had cream carpets too. I changed them to brown. Goodness, yeah. So even everyone is going to experience this kind of thing at one point. It's just part of the whole parenting thing. You know what I mean? But it's like, obviously, when they're getting older, it's just like, the nappies are bigger, the contents of the nappies are bigger, everything is bigger, when they're getting a bit older. So, you know, it's very, 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 very challenging. So, Justice, he's taken it out, he's put it on his face, he's bitten it, that kind of stuff, you'll see in his teeth, and you just be like, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's very, 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 very difficult to deal with. So yeah, those are kind of like the top signs that I've kind of noticed. So this is the current life that I'm living at the moment. So yeah, it's great to kind of like connect with you guys and hear that you guys are living the same sort of life here, pre-diagnosis. And you, Taskin, if you're still there. Yes, you're still there. With the Asperger's as well. So how old are you, by the way? If you can tell us. Um, it'll get better. Oh, thank you. Thank you, it's like certain things have gotten better, like as I said, I'm just being a little bit more cooperative. um 21. Awesome. Certain things have gotten better, but then it's like, again, as he gets older, there are certain challenges as well. So, there's just, we're kind of taking it as we go along, sort of thing, learning on the job. But yeah, it sort of takes him forever to calm down. So I kind of catch myself just trying to like not upset Justice, sort of thing, you know that's the kind of life that I'm living. Just don't upset Justice, kind of thing, because it's not like he can actually tell me what is the problem. So he will literally just be screaming and screaming and screaming, and sometimes it's just that he's tired. He just wants to sleep. But again, this is something that happens with all children start to act out at bedtime when it's time to sleep, or they need to have their nap. They start getting some extra boost of naughty energy and just start like just acting out just because they're tired. It's like, just go to bed, just lie down, go to sleep. So yeah, certain challenges that you'll have with like every single child, but there's just certain things that started to make me think, hmm, is this autism? Is this a sign of autism, sort of thing? And yeah, those are the sort of things that I noticed initially. How do you feel about him going to a specialist school? I'm worried that being around other nonverbal kids won't be beneficial, but I'm worried of bullying in a mainstream school. Ooh. Bullying has never ever come to my mind, actually. It's never actually come into my mind at all. But like, even just like remembering, like, my school days, I do remember like children like kind of picking on certain children, maybe because they weren't in like, super high sets, academic sets. They were kind of in like the lower sort of sets, in school. So that's something to take into consideration. But for me, I've always been on the side, even though a lot of people have said, put him in a mainstream school, I've always been on the side of putting him in a special school. I don't know why, because I never really thought about being around nonverbal children, but I don't know. I just feel like it would be better for him to have that one-on-one attention on him, that sort of thing. And because I think, because he's so confident in himself, he's just so confident, like just doing his own thing, and that kind of thing. I just feel like what he's just lacking is that extra supervision. So I've always been more on the side of him going to a special school than on the side of him going to a mainstream school, because those mainstream children, as we said, they're on a different level. They can't understand what is going on with the autistic child, so they can be mean. They won't necessarily have time for it. I'm not even sure maybe the teachers will even have time for it, but with a specialist school, they're kind of expecting the child to have delays, they're expecting the child to have challenges, they're expecting this kind of stuff. So you know they're going to have more time for it, and that's what I want. For Justice, I want them to pay attention to him rather than just try your best to kind of fit in, that kind of thing. But as I said, like, because he's so like confident in himself, like, that's why I thought that all he needs is the special attention. Yeah, I don't know if being around like more like mainstream schools, like children talking more and that sort of thing, if it will encourage him to talk more, or if it's just better to just kind of like just invest in more like speech therapy, more occupational therapy, that kind of thing, um to encourage his speech more. Just getting more specialist attention, you know what I mean? If I was in a specialist school, I feel I would have improved in so many areas, but everyone is different. Yeah, it is, everyone is different, it is a catch 22, but yeah, for me, I've just always been on the side of the special school for Justice. And I think because he's quite like high functioning, that's why even like a lot of like friends and family, when I've noticed like from like one, basically, that Justice is just displaying some kind of like special needs, a lot of them have kind of like shut me down. Oh, don't say things like that. No, he doesn't have any problems, he doesn't have any delays, he's just he's just a late talker, or he's just this, or he's just like kind of made me think like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be worried, or maybe I shouldn't be saying things like that, like he might have special needs, sort of thing. So, but I've just always thought that he will do better because he is high functioning. Like, if you see him, meet him, you won't think that there's anything like, he doesn't have any additional needs, because he's just, he's normal. He can run, he can, his motor skills are like, a star, like seriously, like Usain Bolt. I don't know where you are, but in a couple years, trust me, like Justice he's quick. He's really, really, really quick. And I'm not just saying quick, like, every mother wants their child to win a gold medal, but like this boy is quick, like seriously, seriously quick. So yeah, definitely his like athletic abilities, I definitely want to focus on, because that is one thing I think that he's actually exceptional at, the motor skills for sure, like that kind of thing. So it's literally just the speech, but I think that if he gets that one-on-one attention, then he's going to thrive anyway. It's kind of like what I was saying about the swimming, having to do one-on-one swimming, because obviously he's a danger. He's not going to listen to the swimming teacher having about, what is it, 5 or 8 kids taking turns to do the swimming. Even my daughter can't even be in those classes. She does one-on-one swimming as well, because they just don't concentrate. With that, you're getting more for your money. It's obviously like quadruple the price to do private swimming, but you're getting more for your money anyway, because the teacher's only going to have a total of 6 minutes for your child. How is he like with social interaction? Um, I think he can tolerate you. He can tolerate people next to him. But he would sometimes, if he doesn't want you to engage with him, he doesn't want you to get in on his play or whatever he's doing. He'll kind of like, what he used to do is like abandon ship. Like, if when he was little, hey friend, when he was little, um if he was like reading a book or something like that, obviously I would think, you tolerate is the word, is tolerate. He would tolerate people by his side. So let's say, for example, he'd be reading a book when he's a baby, Obviously I'd be like, oh, my little genius, he's holding a book, he wants to read, sort of thing. So I would try and get in on it, like, the three little pigs, and start like reading the story, sort of thing. And he'd be like, and he would just leave the book, like, okay, you have it, like, and he would literally just go away. So I'd be like, oh my god, like, the little genius doesn't want to read anymore because I wanted to read to him. So what I learned over time is that, okay, no, you just leave him to it, sort of thing. But I think, like, even like with the speech and language therapist, they kind of just like encouraging you to, like, get down on their level, eye to eye contact, kind of play with him, sort of thing. So nowadays, like, when I'm playing with him, he'll kind of just look at me like, Mm, okay. So he won't abandon ship anymore, but he would be like, okay, as long as you're not like coming in and taking my toys and stuff like that. Like, that's why I say tolerate. He can tolerate people around him, but it's not like he's not trying to play with you, sort of thing. But then he has had these weird, like, kind of amazing, like, outbursts where I remember when I was in a shop once, and literally there was this little girl there. He literally went up to this little girl and gave her a big hug, like, out of nowhere. Nowhere. He did not know this little girl from anywhere. He just went up to her and hugged her. And that was that, for Justice, that's crazy because, as you say, like, social interaction, he does not play with people. He doesn't play with people. He's not interested in playing with you. He's like playing by himself, like, abandon ship, or leave me alone, sort of thing. So that was remarkable. He did the same thing in his nursery as well. A little girl that's in his class, he literally, like, normally he just ignores her, he just play by himself and stuff like that. But one day he just went up to her and he just hugged her, and the little girl was like, sort of like, okay, like, what is this, Justice? Like, you don't ever talk to me, like, you don't ever talk to me, Justice, what are you doing? And he literally just went up to her and hugged her, and it was just like remarkable, because I'm just trying to think, like, for him, why, what was the motivation behind that? Like, why did you just go and hug somebody and, show some affection to a total stranger? So yeah, it's kind of interesting to watch, and I want to know, like, more about, why he does that, what's kind of the trigger point, to that. But generally, no, he's not really interested in, like, social interaction. Like, I can literally count on my hand the amount of times that he's actually, like, waved goodbye to people, stuff like that. If someone's like, hi, Justice, or bye, Justice, he'll just look at you, and that's it. He will not communicate with, like, people. He's not really interested in, like, playing with friends or anything. As I said, in his nursery, he just literally just plays with the water, plays with the mud, climbing on his own thing. Like, he doesn't play with people. um I mean, even at home, like, when he's playing with my daughter, he, again, he can tolerate her if he's doing something, like, as long as she's not, like, impinging on what he's doing. Like, if they're both playing with water, or playing with, like, something messy, because he loves, like, messy play. I've got a lock on my fridge, I've got locks on my cupboards, I've got locks, okay? Because he'll literally take the butter out of the fridge and, like, smear it on my sofa, or smear it on himself, or smear it, like, on the tables, like, just everywhere, basically, butter. Like, I've actually said to myself this month, like, he's actually done that to about 3 butters. Yes, my daughter can open the fridge, so sometimes she leaves it open, and then he gets the butter, and I'm like, yeah, just because I wanted to, like, have a shower, or, like, do some makeup, or, like, actually, have a life, you did this. Yeah. So I've actually said to myself this month, I'm not buying butter. Yeah, I'm not buying butter. Maybe he'll grow out of it within the space of the time that I buy the butter next. Yeah, because he has had some behaviors that he's just dropped out of. Like I said, with the 2 bowls that he used to hold, like, he would just be holding 2 bowls and stuff like that. He doesn't do that anymore. The whole, like, turning the wheels on the car thing, he doesn't do that anymore. So there's certain things that he has stopped doing, but there's certain things that he has picked up as well. Like, when he was a bit younger, he never used to, like, shake his head and stuff like that. But now that he's a little bit older, I have noticed more like shaking of the head and stuff like that. Like, I think he just likes the sensation of like, that kind of lightheaded feeling. I think he likes that. So he started to do that. Cracks all the egg. Listen, I 2 crates of eggs, 2 crates of eggs this week. Okay. So I'm on strike. We ain't buying no more eggs until, well, next week, because we love eggs. But then again, know your worth coaching, Davina, you've told us about this vegan diet, right? So we might even just be vegan. So that's going to save us a bit of money. No more eggs. No more eggs for you to crack. So, hey, everybody wins, everybody wins. So yeah, just taking things out of the fridge, just be started to become like really, really taxing. Like it's like everything is like a stress point. Everything is like a thing of stress. Like you can't just leave anything alone, There's, from putting your hands in the toilet, like every room has a hazard, basically, to like, again, the fridge. Obviously the fridge lock really helps. So if you don't have a fridge lock, go and get yourself a fridge lock, because it does help. But obviously when you have another child who knows how to open the fridge, or even sometimes I can be forgetful and leave the fridge open. So, it happens. Shaking of the hairs, stemming. Yeah. Definitely. But in the initially, because I knew that was like a classic autism sign, the shaking of the head, he didn't do that as a child. That's why I was kind of thinking, maybe he's not autistic, because he doesn't do like all of those sort of like things, like the stemming, the rocking back and forth, the shaking of the head, the clapping sort of thing. He never used to do any of that. But I'm noticing, as he's getting older, that the head shaking is there now. So he's picked up some behaviors, but kind of like left some behaviors behind. So yeah, those are kind of like the top signs that I've noticed so far on this journey to being diagnosed with autism or not. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at the moment on the journey, Thank you for sharing. You're welcome. You're welcome. You are welcome. Yeah, I thought I'd kind of share that, because that's like, obviously I don't really post my children on my Instagram at all. Like my profile bio, whatever you want to call it, doesn't have any pictures of my children. But I do put my children on my stories sometimes. Why? I don't know, to be honest. It's kind of like a personal kind of choice to not put them on my Instagram sort of thing. But yeah, I do talk about like motherhood, like I wouldn't say a lot, but sometimes. But I thought that this is very kind of important, or just an important aspect of my motherhood to talk about it. And I knew it was so important, because look at how many amazing people have actually joined this live today. Taskin, who actually has Asperger's, Maria, who's going through the same thing, Davina, everybody else who's kind of joined as well, that has actually, seen these kind of things before. Natalie, you've probably seen some children as well, as a social worker, who do have autism or special needs as well. So yeah, I thought it was just really important to kind of share, and look what happens when you do. There are people who are going through exactly the same thing as you, or who will go through the same thing as you later, and maybe you'll help them one day. So yeah, just adding a bit of community to it. So yeah, just sharing this kind of aspect of my motherhood. Yeah, and yeah, it's been great, and I thank you all for joining this live today. So I'm going to end this live now. Yeah, feel free to keep in touch, guys. Send me a message or whatever. Yeah, so I'll kind of be keeping you updated on, Justice's development, his diagnosis, and see what they say and see how we get on. I'm going to be very excited to share his first word with you guys as well. So yeah, thank you for joining me on this journey. Hey, cuz, I'm actually going to need you to help me with some vegan recipes, actually. Yes. That's my cousin, everybody. You want to follow his vegan page. He makes some tasty meals. Tasty vegan meals, actually. So we're turning vegan, basically, cuz. So yeah, we're going to be needing some recipes, because apparently it's going to be really good. We're excited for Justice. Yay! Yay! We need vegan meals for children, specifically autistic children. So, hey, that's a little business niche in itself, isn't it? Come on, cuz, joint venture, keep it in the family, That's it, we'll talk more about that offline, because I'm interested. 100%. Okay, everyone. So thanks you all for joining. And yeah, I'll see you on the next live. Bye.